dedicated,
a perfectionist,
smart,
perfection,
groundbreaking,
petite, exacting,
proud,
innovative,
absolutely committed,
professionalism,
professional,
professional,
the professional,
and kind.
She was a seminal figure in the development of the College of Southern Idaho, and not only the college itself, but she really set our roots in the fine arts and the fact that as an institution, we care deeply about the fine arts, and I think we owe a lot of that to Dr. Tanner.
When Doc Taylor, in the very early days, was looking for faculty members, he could not promise them a campus because we didn't have one yet. He couldn't promise wonderful facilities because they weren't built yet. And so he was looking for a few really capable faculty members. And Fran is one of the few that he did not have to recruit from someplace else because she grew up here in Twin Falls, she graduated from Twin Falls High School, and she was highly educated. Not only did she attend Idaho State College at that time, but also the University of Washington, and later on BYU for her doctorate. And she was also a Fulbright scholar from England. So here she was in Twin Falls, Idaho, in many ways just waiting for a professional outreach. And when the college came, it was like a perfect match.
I remember the contributions through the experiences I had as a fairly young child, attending many of the productions that she put on with her students. My mom taught here beginning in 1974, and so Dr. Tanner was already a faculty member here. My mom was hired to teach in the office occupations department, and they became very good friends. The number of faculty at the time was so small that it really was a family of faculty, and all faculty knew each other. And I was fortunate enough that my mom made close friends with Dr. Tanner. She came to our house often for dinner, always a part of my mom's birthday celebrations, and we went to every single one of her productions. And it was just something that I absolutely looked forward to. They were, in my experience, a chance to walk through the doors and become transformed into another world. And I don't know, I left feeling, I had never really had an opportunity to go to any dramatic productions like on Broadway, but in my mind, Dr. Tanner's productions were just as good or better.
Dr. Tanner was incredibly dedicated to the College of Southern Idaho. She was a founding faculty member here at CSI, and this institution meant a lot to her. And I think the dedication that she showed throughout her career, I think still resonates today at CSI. There were so many students who she impacted throughout the years, whether that was in a speech class or whether that was in readers theater or in play production or in forensics and speech and debate. She was so dedicated to so many students and to impacting their lives that I think that's one of the lasting legacies that she certainly has here at CSI.
Every organization and every institution has stories they tell about their founders and about the foundational individuals as part of that culture. It helps them make sense of their culture and of their environment. And at CSI, one of those individuals is Dr. Fran Tanner. She is certainly a foundational member of our faculty and of the community. And so my first semester here at CSI 20 years ago, I had the privilege of sharing an office with Dr. Fran Tanner. And she has made a lasting impact upon my life professionally and upon our community and certainly upon CSI. And as you study Dr. Fran Tanner, as you learn about her, it helps us make sense of the impact of CSI and the stories we tell about Dr. Tanner and the principles that matter to her and to us at the college.
Students and performers often, they will live up to your expectations of them. So always have high expectations and always expect the best from your students and your performers. As a high school theater teacher and serving on the IHSAA board, I had the opportunity to see a lot of high school theater classrooms, and you could not find one that did not have a set of Dr. Tanner's theater textbooks. And so it's really kind of neat to have been able to have her in our lives and have her as one of the foundational aspects of this college.
I know the exact memory to give you about Dr. Tanner. When I started teaching at CSI, and I believe she did this with everyone in the department. She came and sat in on all of our classes. She watched our classes, and she took extensive notes of how we taught, how we interacted with students. She gave us professional and personal advice about our teaching. And I remember after one of my very first classes that Dr. Tanner watched, she sat me down and she told me that it didn't matter if I was from a small town in eastern Idaho or not, I was going to pronounce my vowels correctly when I was in front of a classroom. And she went through every get versus git, every creek versus crick, and she explained to me that there was proper diction and I was to use it when I was in front of a classroom full of students. And we went through the whole day, and she was serious about the fact that I was going to have it together in front of a classroom. And at the time, I was honestly quite intimidated by that. That's a lot to think about when you're in front of a classroom. But again, it set that standard. And I think that that is exactly what to know about Dr. Tanner, that she was prepared, she was polished, and she was ready for anything that she went into. And just that standard of preparation and perfection, I think rubbed off on all of us, and we're all better for it. So I appreciate it a lot.
When she left the college, after sharing an office with her, she provided me her time cards that she used to keep track of her student presentations. And for 20 plus years after she gave them to me, I still use these time cards as a memory of her and the impacts she has had upon our college and upon our students. And so when I time our student presentations now, I tell them the story of Dr. Fran Tanner and how our students today stand on the shoulders of her and other faculty members who made sacrifices to enable the education to roll forward in the Magic Valley.
She gave me some unsolicited advice once, and she said, "Jan, whenever you give a speech, quit moving your feet around." And I'm thinking, I didn't even realize I was moving my feet. But when you're excited about something, I just can't keep my feet quiet. So I was a failure as far as that advice from Fran Tanner.
Again, one of the words I chose to describe her was very smart. And growing up, I did get good grades, but was also very sensitive to the notion that smart kids weren't like the cool, popular kids. And so Dr. Tanner made it okay for me to be smart. And so personally, that was very important. And she was also very inspirational because she traveled so many places, always would come home with stories, photographs to share. And she very much inspired me to want to travel. And I think because of her, I felt brave enough to apply for a study abroad opportunity when I was in a sophomore in college that I might not have done had she not set an example. And I saw that if Dr. Tanner could do it, I could do it. The audience might not be aware of her physical size. She was very small. And but for a small person, when she walked in the rooms, she commanded attention. It was so interesting to me, just the way that she held herself, her posture, impeccable. And when she walked in the room, you sort of knew who was in charge, and it wasn't you.
Was in speech and debate. And I remember that without fail, every morning we would be at a speech and debate tournament. So perhaps we're in California, we're at Cerritos College, which was a huge tournament we would go to every year. And you have to remember that we're getting up, these are a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are getting up. These speech and debate tournaments always start very early in the morning, at least at that age, it seems very early. So you're piling into a van, you're driving to an institution, and there may be 8 or 10 of you, and you're tired, and teenagers are just past being teenagers. And Dr. Tanner would insist every morning on the way that we would do vocal warm-up exercises in the van. And you could see the eye rolls, you could see the people who were just barely awake. And Dr. Tanner was, again, always a professional. It didn't matter if it was 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night. She had the same energy and the same enthusiasm. And you would do those vocal warm-ups. And I remember students grousing about those, and I remember us kind of making fun of them at times. But I also remember that when you got away from those other colleagues that you had, those other teammates that you had, right before you were to go in and do an event, we were all doing those same vocal warm-ups. We knew they were important. We knew they mattered. And she instilled that in us, even if at the time in those vans at 7:30 in the morning somewhere in California, we didn't truly appreciate it.
I directed a production of Streetcar Named Desire here in this theater at CSI. And she was nearing the end of her life. And at the end of it, she made it a point to come up to me and tell me that she thought the direction was wonderful. And you may not think that that's such a big thing because after shows we see all that, but coming from Dr. Tanner, that meant a lot because she, as I said, she was very professional, very stringent. And to me, that was her telling me that I was finally meeting her expectations. And that I've taken that with me my entire life.